after 2, and I would like to call the meeting to order. All members of council are present today, along with our CAO and our office manager. And with that, I would like to have a resolution to adopt the agenda, please.
Resolve the agenda for the meeting be adopted as circulated with the noted additions. Communications for action, 5.3, tree land entitlement webinar. 5.4, short-term rental and Airbnb webinar. And new and other business, 6.12, Lebo Community Club event permit.
Okay, can I have a mover, please? Councillor Gazarovich, second Councillor Horvis. Anything else that needs to be changed for the agenda today? Go ahead, Councillor Strang.
I would like to put 2 additions on, just to speak about the fire ban and grass mowing.
Okay, I think we're going to talk about the fire ban anyway, so grass.
I didn't see it on here.
Yeah, probably in the CAO report, I was thinking.
I was going to discuss in camera with
Okay,
council.
yeah.
You can have them both in camera too.
Well, let's have it outside of me.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
thank you.
Anything else? Hearing and seeing none. Have a mover, have a seconder. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, the next item is confirmation of the minutes, and that is our last meeting on June 13th.
Resolve the minutes of June 13th, 2024, regular meeting of council be adopted as presented.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Strang, second Councillor Sutherland. Any changes, additions, corrections? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Communications for action. Grand Marais Rec Association, their Canada Day event. And I guess what we're looking to see here is, I'm not sure about the first one.
The first one is an invitation to the event itself,
Yeah.
Madam Mayor, and it's for pancake breakfast that starts at 8 in the morning to 11:30. Ticket prices are $7. And then there's some festivities going on, and finally the fireworks, which will start at 10:30. Had discussions with the manager of the Grand Marais Recreation Center, and he's advised that the fireworks will probably run for about 18 to 20 minutes. As the fireworks are running close to our noise bylaw, I did request and discuss with him possibly that we would increase just give additional time as part of the noise bylaw so that there's no issues related with that if they went past 11 o'clock for some reason.
Okay. Any questions, comments?
Just a comment.
Go ahead.
Fire ban? Which we get into.
Sure. We've been having discussions with our fire chief in the area. He's very concerned about the fire in the possible fire in the area, especially where the fireworks are occurring. He's worried that the jack pine in the area is very dry, and as the jack pine's dry, that there's a high likelihood of fire. We've been monitoring the weather and we're trying to deal with that. I've discussed this with the Grand Marais Recreation Center manager, and he advised that we work with the supplier or the company that will be doing the fireworks to see if the landing zone will stay into the grounds area where they have lots of room and that it stay there. But as the fire chief says, and as you know, with winds you can't always control exactly where the landing zone is. I did request for the fire chief to see if he could maybe wet down the area, maybe the jack pines, but I don't think that that's possible because of the height and it dries up within hours in these days.
Yes. If it's all already at tinder, it's wet. The only thing that might work is if we do it on the waterfront, shoot it at the bottom.
They've done that.
They've done that
Yeah.
before, and I thought that's the norm, is to do it over the water.
Logical thing to do.
Yeah, especially now.
Yeah.
It would be.
Or in that causeway.
Yeah.
So I'll have to have a discussion with them and see if we can
Go ahead.
try to organize something that way.
Go ahead, Councillor Strang.
I guess if we are going to allow them with the fire ban on, or we only and allow them to have fireworks, which it is July 1st, but you're going to promote other people doing it too, like in their own yards. So that's just going to be the repercussion of it. So just something to think about.
Well, that's a
for-
good point. We have our own fire ban on, but yet we allow fireworks to happen. It's contravening our own, yeah.
Unless council gives special dispensation, so we've also been requested for a special dispensation from the city of Selkirk. And they do fire off, and they will have their fire department on hand, but they do fire off from our
Yes.
side of the river. And because of that, they do go over the water, and they've been requesting, because at this point, with our fire ban, they wouldn't be allowed to do it unless council, and that's what I wanted to discuss with council after the implications and any legal issues that might come of it.
Well, I think probably what we should do is discuss it further in camera and then make a decision when we come out of camera. Once we have all the information.
So 5.2 will come back to afterwards, but 5.1, which is the Canada Day event, we're looking to see who in council will be going to the event, and we can pass a resolution to that.
I believe some of us have handed that into Heather, so should we have something there?
So,
Well, anybody can show up for it, right? It doesn't, it's not a,
but it's, as it's an event that council will be representing council with, it'd be nice to pass a resolution in regards to that. Can we just say Mayor, Feeble-Corn, and council?
That's what I was gonna suggest, and then if you can come, fine, if not, that works too.
Resolve Mayor Feeble-Corn and councilors be authorized to attend the Grand Marais Recreation Association Canada Day celebration at the Grand Marais Rec Center on July 1st, 2023.
Moved by Councillor Bazzaro, second please, Councillor Sutherland. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, carried.
And 5.2, Madam Mayor, we'll come back to later.
Yes. Go ahead. To do with that 5.2
well,
or with going to Grand Marais?
well, if we're doing that one for Van Marais, should we not do one for legal, or are you waiting for the invite from legal? Because you've already asked about that.
Theirs is on July the
Eighth.
8th.
I hadn't seen the invitation.
It's just a noise extension.
Just a permit, yeah.
But we could certainly do the noise extension for you.
They're an event permit, sorry, not a noise
No,
extension.
they need an event permit
Yes.
because they're having a beer
No,
garden.
but I mean, do we have to pass a resolution for somebody from council?
To attend?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, you know, past practice, I guess we should, but past practice has kind of been if it's in the municipality, then if we go, fine.
Yeah.
But,
It would
DPAC
be
is
nice
looking
to
at
show
it.
them some support because all the work and effort we've been putting.
Yes, yes. Go ahead, DPAC.
I can't go because I'm not going to be around.
Certainly, Madam Mayor, we could add another item on the agenda to address the legal.
I was going to, sorry.
So we can certainly add an item to the agenda, and then we'll address the legal event as well. When we come to talking about their event permit, we'll also have to pass a resolution.
Sorry, Heather, I thought I gave that to you. Okay, so the next item is 5.3, I believe, and there's a couple of, one webinar there from AMM.
Correct, Madam Mayor. It's a webinar for the Indigenous, from Indigenous Reconciliation and Other Relations, and it's for a webinar on July 12th at 10 to 11 p.m. Will be recorded and will be accessed also for future reference. So if council would like to attend, we can certainly set up the office so that you can attend and watch the webinar here or watch it from home if you so choose.
And that was the 12th of July?
July 12th from 10 to 11 a.m.
That's a Wednesday.
Correct.
So you'd have to send a link for it if we were at home?
Correct.
Yeah.
The link has been provided as part of the event. But we'll follow up. So there's the link, just gives you an opportunity to click there and join the meeting. And the passcode is written there for people to access.
Yeah, everything, I think all the information was there, so, personally, this time I would prefer to do it from home, but just in case.
Sure.
Go ahead, Councillor Strange.
Just for clarification, can we watch this later on too? They said it will be available. I'm not available that day.
I think you'll be able to watch it.
Yeah, I'm
We'll
pretty
certainly
sure.
look into it.
Yeah. Okay,
So, resolve Mayor Peeble-Corn and Councilors David Sutherland and Scott Spicer be authorized to attend the Association of Manitoba Municipalities Treaty Land Entitlement Webinar via Microsoft Teams on July 12, 2023.
can I have a mover, please? Councillor Horbus, second Councillor Strang, further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, call the question, all those in favor, opposed, carried. And I was just gonna say, if somebody else decides that they do want to take it in and you're not on the resolution, please feel free to attend, and then we can always put a resolution forward at the next meeting. Okay, and the next one is the short-term rental and Airbnb webinar.
Yes, we just have to fix the link for the short-term webinar information. It's the same as the previous one.
Just scroll down,
Is
because
it?
they sent it all in one.
They sent it all in one, okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so the other is tips and tools for short-term rentals, and what they're talking about is looking at how local officials can understand, deal with some of the benefits as well as some of the challenges dealing with Airbnbs. As you know, this has been an ongoing issue and also an issue that our Red River Planning has been dealing with. So the webinar has been scheduled for Wednesday, July 26th, again, 10 to 11, and it's another Zoom meeting, so council can attend right from home or anywhere in the room.
How about you there?
I think Heather may have a resolution for this one also, so.
Resolve Mayor Peeble-Corn and Councilor Sandra Strang be authorized to attend the Association of Manitoba Municipalities Short-Term Rentals and Airbnb webinar via Zoom on July 26, 2023.
Now, mover, please, Councillor Bazarowicz, Councillor Boulanger, seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. Okay, new and other business, Prairie Bylaw Enforcement.
Yes, Madam Mayor, there's some new officers, one officer added, and so it's Jason Pretty, and we're going to continue to have authority to enforce our bylaws. We have a resolution recognizing himself and a couple of others. So whereas an updated list of Prairie Bylaw officers has been provided by Prairie Bylaw Enforcement Limited, therefore be it resolved, Council ratify the electronic appointment of employees of Prairie Bylaw Enforcement Services listed below as designated officers and bylaw enforcement officers for the enforcement of municipalities' bylaws, the municipal act, and any other act the municipality is authorized to enforce effective June 27, 2023. James Longagama, Dilmeet Burke, and Jason Pretty.
Okay, can I have a mover, please? Councillor Spicer, second. Councillor Strang. Councillor Spicer, did you have a question?
No, I'm good, thanks.
You're good? Okay. Any other comments or questions? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. Okay, 6.2, St. Clement's Activity Center, contribution agreement, and I'll let Deepak speak to this one, please.
As you know, Madam Mayor, we received a confirmation from Council via electronic means that we can proceed with signing of the agreement. What this agreement does is just get some additional flexibility associated with the St. Clement's Activity Center, where the funding that's available, which is a third between the province, the federal government, and recognizing that the original costs were determined based on 2019 dollars, that there was an opportunity to utilize, so the percentage of their contribution, I think it turns into about 40% when you take a look at the breakout, and that can be applied, that much can be increased by 40% of their contribution, so 40% of the 40%.
Okay,
And the gas tax can be used as a mechanism to be able to pay. Normally that would be considered stacking, but the federal government made that option available. And this is an update to that agreement.
Okay, any questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
I don't want to sound ungrateful, but it's really unfortunate that we can't, as governments, somehow speed up application approval processes. Because that's the real reason why there's an issue here.
Correct.
If ISIP was first there was a pre-application, then there was an application, and then there were years that went by before decisions were made. So I just find that really unfortunate.
It is, you make a very good point, Councillor, and the AMM has brought this forward as a discussion point. I think this has been a reaction to part of that discussion, but it definitely is not a solution to moving forward.
Okay, anything else from council? Go ahead.
So I can read the resolution in there.
Yes.
Whereas Canada has approved the new limited flexibilities for the use of Canada Community Fund Canada Community Building Fund, which is the gas tax now under a new name, toward cost increases for approved investing in Canada Infrastructure Program and to help alleviate funding gap pressures. And whereas this flexibility will apply to municipal ultimate recipients who will be subject to the federal stacking limits that apply to the project under ISIP and can only be used towards project costs that are eligible costs under the ISIP and eligible expenditures under CCBF. Therefore, be it resolved, the amendment to the contribution agreement under the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program and the Government of Manitoba to provide funding for the construction of the St. Clements Activity Center be accepted and the mayor and CEO be authorized to sign its consent.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Strang, Councillor Gazarovich seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. Okay, the next item on our agenda is 6.3, the St. Clements Activity Center Project Manager, and I believe Deepak will speak to this one.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As you know, that we've been working to bring in a project manager. We looked at possibly doing some of that work internally and then determined that the best option was to bring in a project manager. One of our challenges were that, as we discussed just earlier, we had a limited amount of funds available based on 2019 dollars, and we needed to look at a new way of developing a program to deliver the same deliverables. And then after some dialogue with the province of Manitoba, we were allowed to be able to go to a design-build option. And as used in design-build, we felt it was important to bring in a professional with experience in working with design-build projects, as well as being able to provide some opportunities for expansion. We went out for an RFP in March, and as part of the, not in March, we went out for an RFP in May, and by June, we were able to make a decision on the project manager. There were Class C estimates that were provided. we felt that it was important to bring someone in. We had 3 bids that were submitted. One bid had no price, so it was excluded and did not qualify for the process. The other 2 bids were from Colliers, a fairly significant corporation, and Vico Consulting. Initially, both bids looked very strong, but after interviews with the other supplier, we discovered that they were offering more of the project management services and not necessarily the design build. What they called what they offered was that they would offer the project management services, and they would provide what they called sorry if I forget the name. They had provided, got it here. Okay, there we go. As part of that, they would provide what they called a bridge and compliance consultant, which is bridging the gap between project management and the compliance side. So in some discussions with them, we asked how much more would that be, and that would be an additional $100,000 to $200,000. So we felt that that was significantly higher than what was being projected, as well as it was the winner is the low bid provider, but also has a significant amount of experience. We did apply our scoring to the project, and Vico Consulting definitely came out higher, and this is an average of the consulting of 3 reviewers. This information is also being shared with the province of Manitoba because this is an auditable item, and as part of that we were required to go through a process and to show this was put on the marks. There were many people that downloaded it, and at the end of the day we're moving forward with Vico Consulting and the scoring interview process. I've submitted the information as to our process in hiring Vico Consulting to the province and haven't heard any concerns to date, as well as we're also working with the province now that we've got the consultant started. We are sharing council with some of the other information I provided regarding signage on site. So we're going to look at putting in significant signage to indicate the project. The requirements for the federal government are they must approve all signage, so that's what we're waiting for right now, as well as they have a specific style and requirements of how the signage looks. So we have to stay within those requirements as part of licensing. So as part of this, we are recommending that Vico Consulting, which we're very confident about, and I can give you some further updates on the progress we've already made by bringing him on board in this company. And we're recommending that Vico Consulting at $180,000 for plus applicable taxes be brought in as our project manager, owner's representative as part of the design build component of the project. So I want to make it really clear here, and I apologize for the lengthy explanation on this, but we hired consultants and we hired architects in the past, and because they're architectural drawings from those architects, we can't use those again without using the same architect because they're proprietary. So we can certainly take a look at the information and all that and then go out for bids. And that's why the design build will be asking for the builders to come back with design options and better alternatives to be able to stay within our budget. And it'll be done in a similar fashion as our daycare that's being built, which is also a design build project. Consultants come up with a project, then we sign them to agreements, and they stay within, once the agreement is signed, what's being delivered under that agreement is what gets delivered for the guaranteed price. The challenge is always on design build is having your set of requirements as precise and fine as possible, and that's where Vico Consulting comes in.
Go ahead, Councilor Wojcik.
Now that this piece is in place, when do you, I know the date is set for 2025, I think we all, in my mind, I thought it was 2024, but when do you actually see something actually, just your gut feeling or from what you see going, and now that this piece is in place, when do you see something actually happening there, like in terms of maybe foundation or?
The goal is to have the foundation in before the winter this year,
Okay,
and then the construction next year. And that will depend on the design builder. I'll give you an example. Some design builders may come in and offer to deliver the project in 6 months after the foundation is done. So, the critical component is making sure that the foundations and the engineering has been taken care of. The geotechnical has been completed. We're ready to proceed with the foundation. Designers have already been taken into consideration, and then once that's been determined, the hope is that, and I'll be discussing this later, that we will be going out for design build queries by July, August timeframe, and then begin construction immediately on getting the foundation taken care of.
so that will be articulated, like when you go out for your design build, that although there is a date of like often when contractors see that 2025 finish date, I think they think that that's expectations of council. If it can be delivered sooner, wonderful. I just want them to know that when we award the design build to whoever it's gonna be, we need to ask that question, are you able to proceed as soon as possible?
We could certainly put that as one of the requirements for reviewing for the delivery timelines and see what's needed. Now remember, we could have substantial completion completed in 2024 and still be looking at 2025
Yeah.
for, site works, other things, and before total completion. So I had to also play it safe with the federal government, and we identified in concert with the province of Manitoba was to spread that out so that we could make sure, because it's a lot more difficult to seek permission for extensions than it is to shorten the time frame of the delivery.
The reason I'm asking is if you're not very specific on what you're asking them, and you don't ask those questions that often get under or are overlooked, a contractor could come in, we could pick it, oh, but I've got 3 other jobs going on right now. I'm not gonna be able to get to you guys until X. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's nice to know how spread out they are, what are they working on? Like,
Yeah, that is part of the review, is
Okay.
the projects they're working on, their ability to start,
yeah,
when they can start, and the methodology. The advantage of design build is that a good part of the work could be started throughout the winter and summer, because it's, in many cases, depending on the type of a design we go with, it may be prefab and then brought over.
okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
I have 2 questions, if you'll indulge me. Going back to the design work that has been done. So, just for clarification purposes, that can be shown to the chosen designer, they just can't use, like, as this is what we're thinking of?
That can be used by us using our consultant to create the program of requirements that we need.
Okay.
And the
So
program
it
of
can't
requirements.
necessarily be shown to the designer. Because in some ways, showing them isn't a good thing either, because now they have something where they may come up with a better design.
Exactly,
Yeah. okay.
exactly. And so that design was used in order to create Class C estimates, which were then used to submit. And so at the end of the day, now that we're looking at it, different materials can be utilized. As long as we're meeting the basic requirements that were identified by ISEP for the amount of square footage and the space and the programming space that we've identified in there, some for after-school programs / daycare, those kinds of things, then we're meeting our requirements.
So doing quick math here, we're looking at about 3% of the total project for the project manager. That's fairly good, is it not?
It is very good.
Yeah. I'm thinking it's normally a lot more than
Correct, and I would prefer not to share that with the consultant,
Go ahead.
but I'm sure he's aware of it.
Go ahead, Councilor Mazerovich.
Just, we paid for that work. This is not ours. Like, I don't understand that. If I bought plans or something, pay the money, right?
You don't get to buy the plans, you get somebody to draw up plans for you. But under the seal of an architect, everything that's under the seal of an architect belongs to the architect as per the Professionals and Engineers Act. And as part of that act, they are the sole designer of that. Now, you can certainly use that for information, but you
Yeah,
cannot.
but when you build a home or something, you can take that same plan and sell it to somebody else. And you can build 4 or 5 homes with that.
No.
Well, that's where I can
If somebody built a home for you, you can't take that plan and sell it to anyone else or utilize it for anywhere else. But as a homeowner, you have access, just like us, we have access to the plans that we paid for. But we cannot, another engineer or an architect cannot seal another architect's work. So they'd have to go through their own analysis, their own design, and their own
Well,
requirements.
yeah, they did review it. So,
It does help us.
seems odd to me, that's why.
It's always been a challenge. On top of that, this type of building will require an architect as a prime consultant on the project, because that's in the Mobile Building and Mobiles Home Act as well as the Professional Act. And so whoever the design build contractor is, they'll have brought in their own architect to do the work anyways.
Okay, anything else on the project manager for the activity center?
Just one additional piece, which is an additional item, is that I think that the fees reflect the fact that the consulting company is a resident of the Arma St. Clements, and he wants to commit to doing something for his community, and so that's why I think he's made himself very attractive.
Okay. Is there a resolution that we need?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
So, whereas a request for proposals was advertised on Works on the website and through the local paper for a project manager for the South St. Clements Activity Center, and we do call it the South St. Clements because that's under the ISIP program. Whereas after reviewing the proposal and conducting interviews as well as completing a referral check, and whereas the fees for Rico Consulting is $180,000 plus applicable taxes and reimbursements for $0.65 per kilometer traveling, printing, copying, and any other applicable fees be reimbursed at cost, and any rates of service not covered by the request for proposal will be at Victor Coos is at $150 an hour, and technician at $115 an hour, and that itself is therefore be it resolved that Council of the Rural Municipality of St. Clements entered into a contract with Rico Consulting as project manager for the South St. Clements Activity Center.
Okay, can I have a mover? Councilor Spicer, Councilor Horvath seconds. Any further discussion? Go ahead, Councilor Strang.
Just for clarification, the 180,000, that will be, is that going to cap off at that, or if it extends, it's going to be brought back to us? And is this gentleman have a technician that's included in the price of?
Correct.
That's how we'll be.
The technician is included in the price. The $180,000 will be spread over the timeline of the project, and that's what he feels. So once we determine our contract, we should be able to sign off on that. Now, if there's additional services that we need after the fact or as part of that, yes, that will require it to come back to council.
So if it doesn't fit into the scope that he's given of that work, he charges 150 and 135 above that on that project. It doesn't fall into the scope of work, correct?
Correct. It doesn't fall into the scope of work. So let's say we
But
determine.
we still have to approve.
Correct. It'll
If
come
we're
forward as
adding
a.
on.
It'll be a change order, it'll be a change to the price and so forth. And not only that, we have to also report this to the province and the federal government as well.
Thank
mover, I have a seconder for the resolution, and if there is nothing else, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, the next item on our agenda is the electric vehicle chargers. And I
Well,
believe,
Madam Mayor, I'm very happy to report that we're looking at moving forward with 2 electric charging stations. Both will be dual electric charging stations in the municipalities in the RM to initially set up. One was in our northernmost part of the community in Grand Marais. The other was in the central part of our community in East Selkirk, and the other one was in the southern part of our community in Lockport. Lockport is still under some challenges because of location, trying to find the right location, as well as the work that's occurring right now between what's happening on some developments that are looking at developing in Lockport, as well as what the province will be doing when they're complete the upgrades to Highway 44 and Henderson Highway intersection, that there may be additional lands available that we might be able to put it on, or we may be able to negotiate with one of the local businesses. The important part is that these are level 2 chargers, and as level 2 chargers, they take approximately 40 to 60 minutes to charge at 80%. And with that, you want to have these located where there's somewhere for individuals to go and utilize that time, as opposed to sitting in a car and waiting for it to be charged. And so we picked the 2 locations we've identified for now are the Grand Marais, Grand Marais GMCC Community Central location, and the other is the East Selkirk Recreation Center here. And so both locations, we own the land, which is an advantage, so we can put those on. We've communicated with the managers of both areas. We're both in support, and we've requested in writing in support as well. And what we will have is a 2-car charging station attached to one of the walls with 2 dedicated parking spots for electric vehicles, so they can charge at the Selkirk Recreation Association, and the same thing at the GMCC, where there will be a location, and on that one it'll be a pedestal. So we went through the suppliers, we went through an RFP process. We looked at several different options. There was the Juice Box Pro, there was the Charge Point, and the Flow Core. And so looking at the features and abilities in all of these, there was a price quotations that we received, and the challenge was trying to find the right one. The Charge Point one looked like the best ones that we felt were sufficient. They were a little bit higher in price, but that was debatable because the other ones that were offered were single charge, and then there was extra price for the additional charge. And the advantage of these are they're all work off of an app, but these ones come with a little screen that works, and the screen has video instructions on how to use them, which should be really useful as people are beginning to get used to this technology. And these are exactly the same as the ones that have been installed in the city of Selkirk.
Question?
go ahead, Councilor Boulanger.
2 things. Did we get rebating through Danny's programming, and if so, how much?
We get a maximum of $10,000 per station.
Okay.
Councilor Sutherland and then Councilor Spicer.
Maybe a little too technical, but anyways. So,
Oh, sorry, I thought,
I said
Sorry?
Councilor Sutherland and then Councilor
Sorry?
Spicer, that's okay.
I thought I was wrong, okay. I don't know if we talked about this, so is there a charge for the individual?
There is an opportunity to make revenue if necessary.
So is that
So
our
we-
plan or no?
We'll be looking at installing them and coming back to council to take a look at them. We would want to charge some nominal amount at minimum in order to recover the cost of electrical power. We have told both East Selkirk Recreation Association as well as GMCC any additional power consumption will be covered by the RF as part of the program. And so there is a way of charging a price that covers the usage of power, determined by rates that are already out there, and there's an opportunity to raise even higher. Normally, it's about $20 an hour for these chargers, which is basically $20 for a tank of gas, because it's a full charge of electric vehicle. And so, if you're using it, some people may go on there and use it for half an hour, $5. Some people may use it for an hour, $10. So there's an opportunity for that, and it's all done through the app. All the money is collected and the money is sent over. There's opportunities once we start looking at it that if we want to, we can also look at the extra revenue being generated from those locations can be then redistributed to the locations themselves for upkeep, general support for those community centers.
Second question, so when would this start? What's our timeline?
As soon as possible.
So maybe this year yet?
Oh, this will be this year, it has to be this year.
Okay.
The situation is, will it be July, August, or September will be the factor, and it'll be just a matter of delivery dates and acquisition and so forth. Once council approves this, we're full speed ahead. We've already done the analysis, we've already gotten the approval with Eco West. We've been working, who then work with the province and everywhere else, so now it's just a matter of implementing them. We've already had the technicians out on site who verified the electricity and everything else can accommodate. So everything is ready to go, so it's just a matter of now placing the order, equipment on order, and putting it forward. I would say imminent.
Thank you.
In government terms. Imminent.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Councillor Spicer, sorry about that.
No, I guess I wasn't listening close enough, sorry. So I think you might have answered my question. The only way to pay is through the app? Like I'm wondering with the touch screen, you
I
could,
think you might be able to pay by credit card. I have to
Credit card?
verify it.
That would be handy.
yeah, just other options of payment is, I guess, what my question. But that might be a little too technical at this moment. Maybe you can check on that.
I can certainly check on that and get back to you, Councillor, as to the ability to pay.
Thank you.
I think it was told to me, but I have,
I kind of think that it was, you could do it by credit card when I was talking to Danny.
Okay.
it depends on the software of the company that you're getting it from.
Yeah.
And we have a 5-year warranty on these as well.
Okay, any further questions on the electric vehicles? Go ahead.
So the warranty also was one of the deciding factors, I guess?
Correct.
Yeah.
As well as software and usage.
Okay, thank you.
It's not the lowest price.
In looking at it, the analysis that we did, the prices, it's hard to compare apples to apples to these.
Yeah, but that way it's the best price right now.
Yeah. Charge Point, Juice Box came in a little bit cheaper, but offered less flexibility and abilities. And Flow Core came in a little cheaper, but there was extra costs for software maintenance and all those other things. So it wasn't just on the price of the equipment itself. And
And I think the warranty one was good.
correct. So we felt that the best point price is Charge Point. We think it's a better product, as well as we think it's the proper solution for us for this.
Glad we went that way. Most of the time.
Go ahead, Councillor Strang.
I just have questions. So as technology advances, are these upgradable? Like, is it something, I don't know, like there's,
There,
no?
as technology advances, there is an ability, the software is upgradable. But there's a lot of unknowns at this point, such as Tesla has their own. They have converters to use with with some of those. The other is that as technology advances, it's the type of charger. So the example would be, I think in Donato, they were a level 2 charger, they went to a level 3 charger, which is considerably more expensive. Some are 3 to 4 times the expense of installing them. So what they did was they took the level 2 charger and located it in another location. So level 3 chargers will charge your in about 15 to 20 minutes full charge.
Go ahead, Councilor Boulanger.
Just so I'm clear, I'm asked, so totally it looks like around 50-something thousand, but we get rebated back 20, or is it 10 for each, right?
10 for each.
So we get rebated back 20, but the total is around 50-something.
So it stays within our budget.
Okay.
It's good, eh?
It's more than I thought, but the rebate helps. Okay.
Well, it's not really in our budget because we were doing 3 before the budget. So we're sort of over budget even though, we're getting less for
We're
our
meeting the
budget.
budget, we're meeting the budget, not necessarily the quantity.
Right.
I didn't think they were that expensive, to be honest with you. I knew it'd be a cost, but I didn't think 50 grand for 2. I'm glad we're getting the rebate, but I just didn't know that initial cost was that much.
But I think when we spoke about it earlier, we weren't getting as good a product.
Oh, okay, that's true, yeah.
Is that correct, Deepak?
Maybe so.
Like, I think when we spoke about it and we first talked about it, we didn't know exactly what kind of product we're getting, and this seems to be a better product.
But they had estimated from previous years' installations, and the prices continue to rise.
Guys, look at
And
this.
so that was an estimate that I received from Eco West.
Supply chain.
They felt that 30,000 would be a good opportunity to be able to put them in. What they didn't take into consideration was the installation charges, because they're unique in every different location. And so when they said, so at that price, when we look at installation and look and the price of the product, then it comes in. If you're looking at the price of the product alone, we are within range of doing 3.
Yeah, thank goodness for those rebates, because and I've said this before, it's frustrating that when we all try to help the environment and help the global issues we have, and we want cities and municipalities to go along with, to do what's right, often to do what's right is way more money than I anticipate. And it just seems like these companies who get these contracts to provide whatever it is to be environmentally friendly, know that and charge exponentially. It's frustrating. It's like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, you're trying to do good, but yet it's costing you more,
yeah.
so. Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
Just a wrap-up question. So do we have the ability to apply for more rebates to do 1 or 2 locations in the Lockport area, or maybe buy our new activity center?
When the next round comes in, we have the ability to,
Okay,
it's based
so
on
there
our
is-
own budget.
Still
Yes.
options there. Good, thank you.
That'd be a good location.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so do we have a resolution that we need to pass today on this one?
Whereas quotes were received on 3 models of electric vehicle chargers for the location being Grand Marais RV Park in East Selkirk Arena, and whereas after reviewing the quotes and gathering the information and specifications of the 2 models, Charge Point and Flow and Core, therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Royal Municipality of St. Clements purchase 2 Charge Point electric vehicle chargers at the amount of $45,771.55 for Easy EV, and that they be installed at the GMCC RV Park and the East Selkirk Arena. The price includes the charger, installation, and taxes.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Sutherland, Councillor Boulanger seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, JQ Build, the daycare.
Okay, so this was to give council an update that the JQ Build project is moving forward. Wanted to give you an idea. It's not for public consumption, but there is a facility build schedule that the contractors have provided for us. We're looking at in early August for completion. So I've had some discussions with the project manager, owner's representative, and felt that it was important also for council to have a sort of a walk through the area. We felt it was probably best to do it in August when the building is at substantial completion before occupancy, so that we don't have to make arrangements for personal protective equipment and so forth in the middle of the construction site, and you'll be able to see the final product. It looks like, as you can see, it's moving very quickly. At the same time, there is also a plan for a large announcement for the daycares. And in this case, sometime last is better. We are definitely going to be the last one getting occupancy from the first 7 that were determined, but that means we get the best quality work, all the problems fixed in the other ones because they're all duplicated everywhere else, so they're going to move to ours. We did start later, but we're very close to the finishing time with everyone else, and we're able to get through most of the issues.
Questions, comments? Go ahead, Councillor Strang.
Do you have a date for, or you'll just update us all the time?
I will be updating you on an ongoing basis, and confidentially, I'll be able to share the date with you, but it can't be shared publicly until the province and the federal government determine the appropriate date for the announcement as well as for the occupancy.
Anybody else have anything? I think this one was just for info, Deepa.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we'll move on to 6.6, the noise extension at 329 Limousine.
They are, Tiffany Bruno and Eric Thompson are hosting a family wedding on their property at 329 Limousine Avenue on September 23rd, 2023, and is requesting a noise extension to 1 a.m. And they've provided the attached signed letters of support for the noise extension, and we're recommending approval for the noise extension. And we have a resolution to that extent. If you have any questions, I can answer those before I read the resolution, or I can read the resolution right now.
Okay, any questions on the extension of the noise bylaw on this one? Go ahead. Nothing? No. Okay.
Whereas Tiffany Bruno and Eric Thompson have made requests for noise extension, which is regulated under the bylaw 6 of 2012 for the purpose of an outdoor event on September 23rd, 2023. Therefore be it resolved that under section 5 of bylaw 7 of 2020, permit the outdoor playing of music and other party-related activities 2 hours past 11 p.m. at 329 Limousine Avenue on Saturday, September 23rd, 2023. Further be it resolved that property owners are responsible for nuisance noise created by invitees, guests, or other persons on the premises in the same manner as the person actually creating the nuisance noise, unless the property owners of the premises establishes that they have exercised due diligence in a bona fide effort to control and abate such nuisance noise. And further be it resolved, the property owner must obtain all required permits from the Red River Planning District if there is a tent erected. Is a tent erected?
Oh. Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
I'm
Moving, okay, second, Councillor Borges. Any further discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. 6.7, surplus land.
So this is a property in Lebo, Metamare, and on Greening Avenue. It does have access up Greening Avenue. We had received an unsolicited offer for someone to purchase it. So as part of that, we did the investigation to see if the property was developable and if there was any use for any municipal purposes. We've come to the conclusion there's no municipal use for this land at this location and are recommending declaring it surplus. I must note that as part of declaring, as part of our policy, we declare it surplus, and then it'll be put out for sale to all, and not any unsolicited offer, but to all, anyone that might be interested, and it'll be at the fair market value, not at assessed value.
Okay, any questions? I think we've talked about this one a couple of times. Go ahead, Councillor Corbus.
What do you mean by fair market value?
As
Like a
an
realtor
example,
comes and looks at it and says it's worth X, or not the assessed value, if it was assessed for $100 or something, I don't know.
yeah, as an example, if a property is assessed for, let's say, $50,000, we know that the assessment is usually 2 years behind what the current market is.
Okay.
So, normally you would never just go with the assessed value, that would be your low end. And at the end of the day, we'll be bringing forward the sale from the council. Once it goes out for sale, we'll make a determination, is it a reasonable sale price? Somebody offers, if we get 3 bidders, for the sake of argument, and every bidder is below $20,000, then we would recommend not to sell.
Okay.
If we come in with bidders and at the fair market price, when we take a look at it and we do an evaluation and say that this seems to be a reasonable price, then we would recommend the highest sale price of whatever bidders.
Is it a 50 by 150 lot or 50 by 200?
I think it's 50 by 200, but I have to verify. If you'd like, I can verify that right
No,
away.
that's all right, I know it's not a big lot.
It's not a huge lot.
It's Gursky's old house, Steve Gursky's place.
That where there's an old house still right at the back.
Well, that is the old house, it used to butt right up against the old curling rink. When they had the curling rink and the skating rink there.
Okay, there's a resolution, so I'll get our CEO to please read that, and we'll go from there.
Whereas policy 333, disposition of assets, states council approval must be obtained to declare the assets as surplus lands and sold utilizing a real estate agent or auction service. Therefore, be it resolved, council approve the chief administrative officer declare lot 15, block 2, plan 2301 as surplus land. And further be it resolved that council authorizes surplus land be disposed of by selling it with a possibility of using a real estate agent.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Spicer, second, Councillor Sutherland. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried.
So it's not even gonna go on a tender or anything, you're just gonna put a real estate sign up there and say,
And we'll advertise in the paper and on our website that the land is for sale and so forth.
that person who called us on it will
Be notified that,
let them know that it's going for sale.
yes,
Yeah.
It's always nice to see people who want to move into.
yeah.
Metropolis.
Yeah.
That's why
As part of general policy, we would also we should generally also notify adjoining landowners, because whatever land the municipality gives up, they should always offer to adjoining landowners as well, as part of the process,
First.
depending on the size of the land. Whether it's developable or not, that's where the factor comes in.
Oh, makes sense.
Okay, so the next item, if there's nothing else on this one, the next item is a noise, street closure request, 6.8.
Question,
Go ahead.
question for Mr. Administrator. Do you know if the applicant has followed through with all the requirements he was asked to provide through questions from Mr. Administrator?
I have not received anything, and that was going to be part of my comments for today. I've contacted Mr. Potenza and for the request for the street closing, and requested 4 specific things. One was to notify myself of the licenses from Mountain Liquor Gaming Authority, and 2 was proof that the local residents, and especially the properties that are impacted, were notified or are in support or against. 3 was to provide us with an event plan, including a security plan associated with it that deals with safety and health. And 4 was to provide insurance. Was to provide insurance on an event such as this that held the RM, that protected the RM from being sued. None of that information has yet been received. I haven't checked my email lately, and my recommendation to council as well, what I did was I so one of the comments that was provided by Mr. Potenza was that he was providing funds and support for the 2 community centers, which was GMCC and GMRA. In talking with the manager of the GMRA, I didn't talk with the GMCC, but his event sort of linked to the GMRA because everybody's going to see the fireworks afterwards. The GMRA manager said he doesn't have time to participate in this event with Mr. Potenza due to the time constraints and the shortness of when it was made available to everyone. So my recommendation is that we hold off on giving any authority, and if that information does come in just before, we can certainly look at giving the street closing through an electronic means necessary, but we only have 3 days, and without information available, it's very difficult to recommend it.
That was my concern, and don't get me wrong, it wouldn't matter whose name is on this permit. My concern is, it would be the same for any name, but I'm looking at 1, 2, 3 days to the 30th of June, and the next day is July 1st. And that's when the event is being held, and to date, we've got nothing. So that's my concern.
Councillor Spicer?
I've marked it down as information.
Yes, Councillor, the other option that council can do, and it's up to council to choose, is council can authorize a street closing if all that information is made available only. Would be the other choice.
That kind of lays it on him then, eh?
Well, that's the point. If you want the street closure, and council's going to approve it, adhere to all the other requests made by Mr. Administrator. If those requests aren't answered or given, I'm not going to put my hand up for a street closer. Give us what we asked you, and we'll.
Well, but I mean, if he supplies everything.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, so I mean, it doesn't hurt to do that either, eh? No, what do you think?
Personally, I would prefer to hold it, and if we have to, we can do it electronically.
Yeah, I agree.
I think, and I know it really doesn't have anything to do with the street closure, but he also needs something from the liquor and gaming. And without that, if that's not approved, then I don't believe that we should be approving it.
But I think also what we asked for is a critical link to us giving approval to a street closer. If we're giving approval to a street closure, but we don't know what insurance we're getting, we don't know if there's risk management, we don't know if there's environmental stuff that we have. Now, you know what I'm saying? By us approving the street closure, it comes with all the questions we asked for. That's linked to the street closure. Can't say the damn word.
So, is council okay with doing it electronically if need be in the next 2 days, I'm
Sure,
gonna say?
yeah.
Yes.
Just a question for Deepak and Heather probably. It's just like the request from legal. If we don't show, or did we do that already, give him a letter saying that we would be in favor of this, does he not need that for liquor, the liquor thing to get that? Because that's what legal said they needed
Yes.
for is their beer garden.
LGCA requires municipal approval.
Yeah, so are we saying to him, if all these requirements are met, we will give you approval? So, but did we say that to him already or not?
I think Deepak's.
Deepak did, and-
Yeah,
or
okay.
alluded to it anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's in the email.
okay. I just don't want anything to come back and say that we didn't, give him a chance for the community or for whoever.
My latest communication to Mr. Potenza is, I have looked at the various approvals, and based on the information that you have provided below, please be advised we can have a resolution ready for council to allow you to close the street. But as per your email below, please provide the following as soon as possible. I will be discussing this further with council on Tuesday, June 27th. I sent this over to him last Friday as a reminder, and I said, please provide evidence of approval from Liquor and Gaming and Cannabis Authority, assurance that the event has appropriate insurance, a copy of the event and security plan that you can share with the municipality, evidence that the local residents impacted by the street closing in the area have been informed that the street will be closed, and their concurrence. That was all. And I said, in addition, I have contacted Red River Planning District to determine if there are any approvals needed from them, and they are willing to work with you to expedite any approvals. Looking forward to receiving the above noted information so we can help you have a successful event.
Perfect.
Okay, so we haven't heard anything back from Mr. Potenza, and from the conversation here, we will just hold this until we hear something, and if we don't hear from him in the next couple of days, there will be no approval. Okay, so the next one we have is from AMM for the Legacy Drainage licensing project.
So, this is very good news. What they're allowing us to do is take multiple drainages, especially when they're related with one major drain or in a particular area of a drainage, that we can put that into an entire one application, be able to get it approved, and then don't have to do the work immediately. Generally, we're getting the licenses, and we're having to need to do the work within that year. There's been lots of discussions around council here about looking at some of our drainage challenges now that we've dealt with some of our major drainage issues that were the problem drainage zones that were identified back in 2019, 2020. And so now our opportunity is to look at doing that step further. There's an opportunity to have further discussions on this, but I wanted to give this as information for council to understand that there's a significant good news in the sense that they're allowing us to do that. They're also allowing us to do non-linear work. So you can identify an entire drainage process. It doesn't mean that you have to do all the work here, so you can identify specific locations that you're going to do through it, get the entire approval for those particular legacy major drains, and then be able to do the work over time as necessary, depending on the capacity of the municipality at the time, but it speeds up the approvals dramatically. So now we can start looking at bringing somebody in to take a look at our drainage issues in the RM and then develop a plan and then submit drainage licensing for these legacy drains in one fell swoop. So,
Yeah, I saw this. This is really good news. I like it.
Questions, comments?
we'll save those for later.
Okay.
Okay, so the other is Manitoba Good Roads Association identification.
No, we missed one.
Oh, sorry.
RPD annual report.
Oh, sorry, yes. RPD annual report. The annual report for the Red River Planning District has been provided. Which provides their services, staffing, development services area, where they say who their staff members are. And you can see the list of staff members that are sitting in Red River Planning right now. The organizational structure, and volume of building permits issued, and for some of those are multi-families and other development. West St. Paul continues to be the leader from the information that they have provided.
We're
as well.
number 2 though.
Yes,
Yes, we are.
I'll speak to that later. And
Perhaps.
as well as the permits, inspections, of planning services, and their various applications. So we're doing, so the region is doing well, and I think there's some good news to continue forward, and there's the annual report for information for council. Questions?
Questions, comments?
Will we be talking about this in camera later?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, so we are down to Manitoba Good Roads Association, and I do hope that everyone handed in an number for Heather to include in our submission for Good Roads for the judging. I believe that they're supposed to be in by the end of the week.
Do you have lots already, Heather?
I have nothing for farmyard. And then you guys have to decide on the 3 who will submit for the rural yard.
The rural yard?
Yeah, because I've got 3 recommendations now.
And we can only submit one then.
Yeah,
Non-farm, rural, home ground, we've got 3 of them.
yeah.
Nothing for best farm, home ground.
No, but I guess I keep thinking about, the first one, if it couldn't be fit into the residential somehow. Rural residential, like I'm not sure what those groups are anymore,
I don't
and I
think
should
they're-
know that.
I don't think there is a group called that. Let me just check.
I know there's like a farm, but I mean, to me, where this cottage is located, or this home is located,
It's
it's
not really rural.
cottage country.
Yeah.
Well, but it's not, it's not a settlement center either. Like, it would be really nice to submit 2 of the 3.
And we have a 4th submission.
I don't think so. I think she has that already. That's the information for,
Which one is that?
that's the one, Primac and legal.
Oh, no, she
And
doesn't
that is
have
a
that.
farmland or is that a rural?
It's a rural.
Rural residential.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's like a park. It's really nice.
Okay, so we can discuss it later, Madam Mayor.
Yeah, we can.
Determine this.
Yeah,
I already talked to them. I told them that somebody might be getting in touch with them about it or whatever, but it's,
and I will let council know that if anybody on council is interested in going out judging, I'm sure they'll be looking for some judges, because I know they were short last year, and I haven't spoken to the secretary. I have to give her a call. If not this week, next week, and see how she's making out with her judges and things like that, so.
All there is best farm home, best non-farm rural home, and then best home grounds in an unincorporated urban center.
Best, say that last one again.
Best home grounds in an unincorporated urban center.
Settlement center.
Settlement center.
Could we make our cottage country a settlement center?
You could always put it
Plains?
in there. I think we can certainly submit something from the college country in there. It's unincorporated urban center.
And Clint's could be the rural.
So can we discuss this after, Madam Mayor, and then we'll
Yeah,
go through
we'll
that
pick them
sort of-
apart.
Okay, the next is the Lebo Community Club.
Rich.
Event permit. Before we go to that, next item after that, 613, we didn't actually pass a resolution to add item 613.
Oh, okay.
So it was brought up, so maybe we can just have a quick vote to add an item to the agenda, and then we'll make sure it's
Sure.
reflected in the minutes.
Yeah.
Which one was that?
All in favor?
All in
Attendance?
favor of adding this to the agenda for today?
Yes, the attendance to Lebo Community
Yes.
Club.
Yeah. Okay, and that is passed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Sorry to be picky on that.
That's okay.
Resolved, administration send letter of support to the, oh, sorry, we should talk about the project itself. So the community event permit has been requested by Lebo. They are, they requested Liquor Gaming Association, Liquor Gaming, and Cannabis Association, is requesting a letter of support from the Arm of St. Clements for the Lebo Summer Fest on July 8th. They need an email from us stating that they are all right to have that event and no concerns. As for the donation they received last week, it has been deposited. So we're recommending approval for this, for the Levo Club. What we're saying is resolve administration send a letter of support to the Levo Community Club and the Manitoba Liquor, Gaming, and Cannabis Commission for a community event permit to hold Summerfest on July 8th, 2023. Further be it resolved, the event to be considered the first of 4 events for the Arma St. Clements for the permit year of April 1st to March 31st, 2024. From April 1st, 2023 to March 31st, 2025.
Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
Not to put a fly in the ointment, but, so they own this property themselves? Like it's not RM owned land?
It's a good question.
Sure it is.
What's that?
I think the land is ours and the building is theirs.
Okay. The reason why I'm asking is because wouldn't we have similar stipulations that we would want from this organization?
Well, if it's our land, they're already on our insurance rider
Okay.
as a community club. So they're
And
already
then, of course, Liquor Gaming has a bunch of, okay,
on. So liquor, once they get a Liquor Gaming Association approval, it requires them to have an event plan and a security plan.
yeah, so it's all there.
Yeah, so
Okay.
in this case, the 4th item that I had asked for Mr. Potenza, which is the local residents impacted, in this case, there are no local residents impacted by a closing or anything.
Okay, so we're covering, I'm just, are we treating everyone the same?
Good question.
And, yeah, so the real issue here for Liquor Gaming is the beer garden more than, because it's a family fun day, is it not?
Yeah, but with a beer garden, they'll be asking for, signage,
Yeah.
event separation of children from the liquor location. What are you doing in case of an emergency? Is there, are you dialing 911 or are you having some people there to offer first aid? What type of security will be done at the event in case something happens? Those kinds of
Okay,
things.
so all of the provisions are the same. Okay, perfect, thank you.
Okay, I think you read the resolution, but I'm not sure if we had a mover and a second.
Not yet.
Okay, so the resolution has been read, moved by Councillor Horvath, second please. Councillor Sutherland, any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, carried.
As well, this is an event in one of our major settlement centers, but definitely one of our settlement center areas. So we have a resolution for council to attend. Resolve Mayor Feeblecourt and councillors be authorized to attend the Levo Community Club Summerfest in Levo, Manitoba on July 8th, 2023.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Bezeroa, Councillor Spicer, seconds, discussion. Hearing and seeing none, call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. Okay, so that takes us to number 7 on our agenda, which is the list of accounts. And we have a closed list.
So resolve council approve the June 27, 2023 list of accounts, check numbers 23,000,955,0 to 23,000,1067 in the amount of $975,449.25 for payment.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Spicer, Councillor Bezeroa, seconds, discussion. Questions, queries? Go ahead, Councillor Strang.
Fairmaster, the very first one, is that maybe possibly for the using of our speed sign?
Could be getting more signs we need to, could be.
Well, it says anchor base post brackets.
I don't know, that's what I thought of when I saw that charge there.
Yeah.
It is like
I think those
$3,000.
anchor, $3,000, I think that's for just some of our regular signs.
Just a regular.
I'm gonna have to, did we ever set that thing up yet? Or digital?
We are looking at putting it up this year.
That's why I thought we were in parks or something. So.
Okay, are there any other questions or comments on the list of accounts? I have a mover, I have a seconder, I'll call the question, all those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. Next one is financial statement for May.
Yes, from January to May, resolved that the May 31st, 2023 financial statements be adopted as presented.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Horvath, second. Councillor Boulanger, any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, that is carried. 7.3, grants. We have one grant, and that is for Selkirk Biz.
Yes, Madam Mayor, Selkirk Biz is requesting a grant for $500, which is for their annual activity sponsorship grant that they normally request for as part of their Biz annual fair parade for July 15th, 2023. And they're recommending approval.
Okay, well, I guess we could discuss it a little more in camera, but the comment was made on Saturday at an event that Councillor Strang and I were at is, why are they charging $500 this year? They never have before to put a float in the parade. I didn't take this though as a float. I took this as a contribution to the fair.
Correct.
Okay.
Fair and Rodeo, which is that the Agriculture Society?
The Ag Society looks after the fair and rodeo.
Okay,
Selkirk Biz looks after the parade.
so this money is for the parade or for the fair and rodeo?
Well, the way this has come across, it sounds as if it is for the parade,
Yes.
which we have never paid this amount. There is an entry fee, but it's never been this
Yeah.
high. So I guess for me, is this for the parade or is it our contribution to the fair and rodeo?
I think we need clarity.
Yeah. Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
And maybe it needs more discussion, like are we putting a float in? I guess that's the question too, right?
Well, we did last year.
We always do.
We do
We
every
have
Yeah.
pretty much every year. And we're gonna have
But
you
are
sit
we
on it
putting it
this
in
year.
if it costs $500?
Well, do we have to pay the 500 plus pay a fee for putting our float in? It's kind of a
We
double
gotta find out.
whammy.
We
Yeah.
gotta find out.
Yeah,
And don't we contribute to the fair already? Don't we donate to it?
Fair and rodeo, yeah.
Yeah,
so
I
that's
mean,
through the St. Andrews, or St. Clement St. Andrews Ag Society, not through Selkirk Biz.
So we haven't had that request yet, though, have we?
I don't know, I can't remember.
Getting kind of late.
I thought we had the
Yeah, I
request.
thought
by
we
law.
had.
It was
gave them
$1,500, wasn't it? $1,500, I'm sure of it.
Yeah, so what they're asking us for here is asking us for sponsorship of $500. And it's never been requested before, right?
Go ahead, Heather.
Last year, we did the $500 to the parade.
We did, eh?
Oh, is there a different heading then maybe, or?
Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
I'm
Oh,
scratching my arm, sorry.
So we did our 1,500 for the fair,
right.
we have, or have
We
we?
have,
For the
I
rodeo.
think we did for the
Yeah,
rodeo
sorry,
this
that's
year,
what I
the 1,500. Go ahead, Councillor Boulanger.
It's the way they word it that's confusing us, because they're calling it the annual fair parade. Well, what is it? We've been asked for money from the Ag Society for the fair and rodeo, which is separate, it's in the Selkirk Park. The parade is on the streets above, and it's, to me, it's two different entities.
Yes, it is.
So I wanna know, after we can ask the question to them, is what is this from Biz Lord? What is it, which one?
Is it the same as the last 500 we sent last year?
Yeah. Go ahead, Counselor Strang.
We actually, gave on May 19th, we gave $2,500 to
Fair and Rodeo.
the Triple S Fair and Rodeo.
Triple S Fair and Rodeo, which isn't really Triple S anymore,
No.
because it's the Ag Society now.
The Salkirk doesn't contribute, right? They say they do it in kind, right?
Yes. I would imagine that some of the things down in the park,
Oh, yeah.
like they use the ag building and things like that down in the park, and I think that's what they use as their contribution.
They're probably clean up the streets.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Counselor Spicer.
May I suggest we have a discussion
Bring it back.
Later.
with that,
Okay, I'm good with that.
because there's some good questions that have been brought up here.
Yeah, the only thing is we probably should make a decision today unless we were gonna have a meeting somewhere in between, because we don't have now another meeting until the end of July.
Yeah, we'll decide.
I think we can do that.
Okay, go ahead, Counselor Bazarovich.
It's just at the end there, it says the director is Alice.
Yes, I don't know who that is.
So what are you saying, Alice doesn't live here?
Well, it always was Sherry, right?
She retired.
Yeah, but it's the same last name, that's what.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't know if it's a relative or not. I honestly don't know, so. Okay, so we'll bring this one back, so that takes us to, the bylaws.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Brought this bylaw forward that council had made the decision that although that the cost of living increase for 2023 was 8%, that it was recommended that council only move forward with 4%. And based on that 4%, we have been working towards, but we realized that the resolution was going to put forward with an update to the bylaw that only 4% would be applied. And so we brought the bylaw back today so that that can be done. We will determine what the indemnities and expenses will be for each council member, as well as then we can go back and apply back pay for all indemnities and expenses from January till now. Because it was supposed to be per year.
Questions, comments, or do we want to discuss it a little later?
So is the other people, no, sorry, Dave.
Sorry, go ahead, Dave.
Nobody has gotten any of the,
Sorry, Councilor, we should discuss that part in camera.
okay?
Go ahead, Counselor Spicer.
So essentially then, all you're doing here is updating as per decision we've already made.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So do we have a,
We have a resolution for this, but did you want to have this resolution now, or just
no,
bring
we
it
must
back
have
after
it
the
now,
session?
it's the,
Well,
it's gonna be the same anyways.
But if we have individual comments, and I don't think it should be related too much, because we did shed light with lots,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
but if
There
something
are-
does come up, like, it should be in camera.
And by the way, this is just first reading, you'll have opportunity to discuss it for second and third reading as well.
Okay.
Okay, resolved that bylaw 6 of 2023 being a bylaw to establish the indemnities and expenses of members of council be given first reading.
Madam Mover, please. Counselor Belanger, Counselor Sutherland seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. And I bet you want to take a 5-minute break. Or you're good.
Oh, I'm good, no, that was just a bad move, I shouldn't have reached out to put myself in. Yes.
Okay, communications for information. Is there anything there that anyone wishes to discuss? Or Deepak, is there anything that you want to throw at us here today?
There was,
First, three are interesting.
First three.
Yeah, they're really going crazy, that's all.
oh, yes, there was, sorry. The Clean Environment Commission report has been submitted. We can discuss a little bit further as to what that all stands for, but it also is important for council as well as for our residents to have that accessible from our website as well. The asset retirement obligations is an important one for municipal relations, which we will be working towards. And I have some ideas on how we're going to further move forward on that I'd like to discuss with council also afterwards. And the merit-based grant program, I kind of looked at it, but I wasn't sure how we could apply it here.
Which one was that, Deepak?
The merit-based grant program
Oh,
for the
okay,
environment and
yeah.
climate. You know, excited to introduce a new program with for a low carbon economy fund. The new grant incentive program supports municipal efforts as well as other sectors to reduce emissions from existing processes and buildings through energy efficiency upgrades and fuel switching initiatives. So I don't think we own enough buildings and things to really take advantage of it. And the two new buildings we're getting are going to be highly energy efficient already. And the ones we have, not very energy efficient.
It doesn't pertain to vehicles and or equipment?
It does, but so far the analysis I've done on the vehicles because of the size of our electric vehicles are. But I did get some information on that hydrogen converter to apply with diesel fuel. If that does work out, that might be a good solution.
It's just something to be aware of.
Okay, anything else that anybody wants to touch on in the info correspondence? Go ahead, Councillor Strang.
I'd just say 9.4.1 for the Red River North Tourism. A good thing would be maybe for our community different activities to get to Red River North Tourism. An example, say, is the event going on in Maple, that they could advertise it out also.
Good point, Councillor. As well as the next three events, they're also planning.
Yeah. So they would be like they're a free advertising for our community, so we might as well.
Yeah, hook them up, somebody from that and Grand Marais too. You could
Any
hook
of
them.
our events, the
Yeah, should
communities
be,
out.
they're dealing directly with Red River.
Well, the Grand Marais one is in here for Canada Day.
Yeah, it's in
Yeah. And then I kind of really like the calendar that they have on here, and I actually went on the website because there's not July here, just June. And there's lots of events going on, a lot more, I shouldn't say a lot more events, but there's a lot more posted in the other RMs than we have in ours, so it's important to get all our community groups, whatever they have going on, to get the information to Red River North Tourism so they can put it on the calendar.
Yes, Madam Mayor. Unfortunately, we have multiple event calendars with multiple event groups. And that's where our challenge is, but you bring up a very good point, and that's something that we should be addressing as a community.
Go ahead, Councillor Strang.
Maybe there's someone on each one of the boards too, that could be the contact to Red River North Tourism, that person, when there's, like, somebody in Lebo, just the one person up there, always contacting Red River North Tourism. Someone from Grand Marais, even though I know there's several groups up there, but
There's no charge, is there?
no. So
You
that just
advertise
to,
it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Somebody from East Selkirk here, like everybody, every group that have one liaison for the Red River North Tourism.
Yeah.
I want to see.
No, we can talk about that after. Okay, anything else under the info correspondence? So that brings us down, if there's nothing else, council reports, and I'm gonna start with Councillor Sutherland today.
Thank you. Just have a few things. June 14th, Councillor Vargas and myself attended the GMCC meeting. Speaking of these chargers, the question was asked about the chargers, and we said the other we were going to hit the, it was still going to be happening, but now we know more to tell them the next meeting.
Well, they know that already, right, Deepak? Because you said their manager.
A letter has been sent to the manager, but at the same point, it would be important for, I think, council members to identify that they're the ones who brought them in. We are just implementers of council's decisions.
And there was some questions asking how we're doing with the RV park, and we just, said the first step is to send somebody there to find an appropriate site if we do go through with it. So we said, we're moving forward. Their CCAP, they really did a good job with that CCAP that they got. They built a step out of the building to the CCAP, and they repainted the whole thing. It looks pretty good, not just an old metal box. Henry at one office, they did it, their workers there did it themselves. Henry's a pretty good carpenter, so it looks good. It's not just something sitting in the trees there, I think, anyway.
Are you going to punchy today? Go ahead, Councilor Sutherland.
They've got a lot of vendors again for the farmers market. So that's, I'm sorry, I forget the date.
The first one is Friday.
This Friday coming up.
Yeah,
Okay.
the 30th.
So we'll see how that works out. It seems to be getting, the event seems to be getting bigger every year for them, so. And June 18th, I attended Peguis Days down at Yellowstone Church with Mayor Debbie Thiebold-Horn. It was a pretty good event. It was a little delayed, which is, I guess, not out of the ordinary, but other than that, it was good. It was well attended.
It was very well attended.
The church service, it wasn't full, but afterwards, like the big tent setup, yeah, they really.
Bannock?
They had a feast, actually.
Oh, there was, lots of variety. The mayor, chief of Peguis was
The new
there.
chief, yeah.
And Debbie, they had a set a speech, and Larry. And who else, Debbie? Joy, sorry, yeah. Anyway, it was well attended. June 20th, we had a committee meeting. We all know what that was about, so that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councilor Strang.
June 14th, I attended Red River Basin North chapter meeting that we hosted here in this room. They had 3 speakers. I was only there for just past half of it. So one of the speakers was Colin. He was from the Northeast Red Watershed District. Very interesting topic. He explained a lot, and also I spoke to him earlier, and he said we wanted him to come and speak in front of council, that he would also, because he was very excited that we were one of the new municipalities on board, and there's 3 of us new ones, Broken Head, Lac du Bonnet, and ourselves. There also was a speaker from Friesen Drilling, and he spoke about treatment of your well and shocking it every year, and there was people in here said they've never done it once to it, but it was just maintaining, yeah.
So it should be done every year?
That's what he says, but he said it's just a maintenance, yeah, he did on the treatment of wells, and then there was Hank Venom, and that's when I had left I had another function to attend. On June 15th, Interlake Tourism Evening, they had a tour also with the boats, and I did not attend that at the very beginning. That started at 4 o'clock, and they went, they took boats, pontoons, and they went up the river, and they did the history of up the Red River, so.
Did they go through the locks?
Oh, yes, they did go through the locks too. That's what took, that was the delay that we were waiting for them.
Do they always do that?
No, there was something different that they did this year. They had their AGM that evening also, and then they had a trivia night also after that. They did select their 6, they changed their board that evening, and they have 6 municipal people to the actual executive board now, and 6 industrial bodies. So they will still be having seasonal meetings, but they won't be like consistent on monthly now anymore. And June 16th, I attended AMM, the June meeting, and it was in St. Anne's, Manitoba. There was an election. Both directors, Lauren Schinkel and Ray Shirley, were voted back in. There was actually
It wasn't in St. Anne, was it? It was the RM of St. Anne.
RMC, that is in Richard.
Richard.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
I got lost leaving there. I took some
So
other
did
highway. I thought I was going to do a
Took a
fast.
wrong dog.
I'm lost in your true Manitoba.
I should have went out to the main highway and just ran the way I came. Anyways, they had the Western Financial Group insurance gentlemen discussed there. They had Honorable Andrew Smith, the municipal minister. That was interesting. They had a question period with him. And they had their, 3 of us got our 5-year pin also.
Congratulations.
Yes,
Thank you.
congrats.
Yes.
I got the pictures. I think I sent Sandra hers, but I have the other 2.
I did get, thank you very much.
Yeah.
June 19th, I had a Red River North Tourism meeting, and that's what I just came up and said previously. That was one of the things that Red River North Tourism did emphasize on there for the RMs to get any of their information out, and they were okay with having a person as a liaison. June 20th, we had committee of whole, and we had a few different delegates here that day. Green burial, and we had then on the road stabilization, plus other items that we spoke about for RM. And June 24th, I attended the Manitoba Highland Gathering with Mayor Devlin. I'm just competing with you. Anyways, it was a good event. Lots of people there,
Yeah.
and
That's good.
yeah, it was very well attended. So. And they said they had a hard time getting volunteers this year and just getting some of the groups out starting, because that was their first time since before COVID. So, and that's it.
Okay, thank you for that. Go ahead, Councillor Boulanger.
Just the June 20th cow, that's all I have.
Okay. Councillor Spicer.
June 14th, Red River Basin Commission, just a couple of things to add. There is granting for integrated watershed management plans, as well as granting under the GROW program for water retention projects. I found the Friesen Driller guy that was talking about wells, that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was too.
In depth, what the substructure of the land is. And Venema talked about LiDAR and using it for doing nature-based solutions. One thing that he said, and this is interesting, is there are people harvesting cattails like making big round bales of cat bales, the cost is $40 a bale. The heat value in one of those bales is $80. And there are, you gave an example, there's a company in Morris that's burning them for their heat.
The colony tried to make their pellets out of them at one time, but they couldn't get the moisture out of them to work at their pellet factory instead.
The only other thing, mark your calendar, the fish dinner is March the 21st of 2024. AMM district meeting, I won't add a whole lot other than probably their biggest news of the day is their plan for the election. They have 4 pillars they're looking at: funding fairness and predictability, which includes redating the PST to municipalities. Investing in core infrastructure is in the second one, so that's water and wastewater infrastructure. Investing in people, and that's more related to recruiting more healthcare professionals and paramedics throughout Manitoba. And number 4 is public safety, and that's predictability on local police resourcing. And they are talking about taking some of those social service functions away from the RCMP, example, mental health. Red River Planning District, we had the open house on June the 14th. It was well attended. June the 20th, we had committee of the whole, it's already been reported on. June 21st, Red River Planning District regular meeting. June the 22nd, Gaynor Regional Library, we had our regular meeting for that too. And there is some meetings being proposed for a committee to move forward on operational funding. June the 26th, Red River Planning District special meeting for the 2022 audited financial statements, so we should be receiving that shortly. And that's all I have, unless there's some questions.
Thank you for that, Councillor Spicer. Any questions or comments on Councillor Spicer's report? Not seeing any hands go up, so go ahead, Councillor Bazarovich.
Be brief, June 16th, AMN and June district meeting in Richard. Full house, place was, small, but the place was absolutely packed. And June 20th, the county meeting. That's it.
Okay. Go ahead, Councillor Horvis.
June the 14th, along with Councillor Sutherland, the GMCC meeting. So there was a kitchen and now there's no kitchen. Maybe there's a kitchen. We don't know if they're putting the kitchen in, but they're not putting the kitchen in. So.
Thanks, Dave.
They're not putting
What could I forget
Well,
about
we
that?
don't know. But they did move that container out in the back to store all the stuff in. But now they don't need it because they don't have to store the stuff in there.
How could I forget that?
So, I don't know. That's what I know about that meeting. They're concerned about the more lots, which Dave mentioned. So, and then on the 16th, we were at the Richard thing. That went really well. Actually, I think we're committed to do, we're going to have that here in 2025.
Yeah.
June.
Yeah.
June,
June.
we have our building. June
Yeah,
to be
the
ready.
new building, so we gotta get it up. Fix
So
it.
there's your timeline.
If not, we'll be pitching the tent over. Which wouldn't be a bad.
Did you have them outdoor before?
Yeah.
Barbecues?
Yeah.
Be nice,
Yeah.
actually. And then on the 20th, there was a cow meeting here, and everybody described. Go ahead.
Comment?
Sure.
Just, if the two counselors that attend those meetings get asked again about a boat launch, I'm only assuming that you would tell them the answer being thousands of dollars have been spent on consultants. It was extensively reviewed over a number of years. Lots of money was spent, and the outcome was that there was no viable place to put a boat launch in that area. Full stop, period. Like, to me, that's the answer. If they keep asking, I don't know what they're
Well, they
asking.
haven't been asking about the vote launch.
Okay, good.
anymore.
Good.
And I think the kitchen thing is over now too, so
I just
maybe
heard
there'll be
vote
something
launch or
new
something.
next week.
Okay.
Okay, anything else, Councillor Orbis?
No, nothing else.
Okay, June 13th, regular council, 14th, it was reported on the RRPD open house. There was actually a fair number of people there, and I think that the, not the people that do the building permit inspections, but the planners in the subdivisions, I think they were quite busy with people wanting to know about their property, if they could subdivide or not subdivide, and things like that, so. And June 14th, it was already spoken about the RRBC North Chapter meeting. One thing I will add is the next meeting will be in September, and St. Andrews will be hosting, but they didn't know where at this point in time. It will be in St. Andrews. Interlake Tourism, I went as Councillor Strang just for the meeting. Didn't go on the boat tour, I kind of wanted to, but I couldn't get there. I had other things going on. AMM June District meeting, we all spoke on that one already. June 17th, I went to the Promoting Aboriginal Student Success Award Celebration Luncheon at the COM. It was quite well attended, and the 3 municipalities were represented, and there was all kinds of awards given away, not only to students, but to some community members also. And some of their awards, like our Alumni Gold Medallion recipient, awarded to one successful candidate who demonstrates their determination to achieve their goals. There's a valedictorian there was, and it was actually very, very nice, and we had a nice lunch there, and as I said, the 3 municipalities were represented. Unfortunately, I didn't know very many of the winners. Dr. Ruth Christie had an award presented in her name, and she was there to present the award, which was kind of nice. So on June the 18th, I was at Pegwas Day, as Councillor Sutherland had reported on. And I guess the day started with the church service, and then we had the lunch, or the feast as they call it, and then the day continued for those that wanted to stay, and there were a lot of families there, and there were games for the kids, and races for the kids, and I guess the adults just kind of hung out and visited with each other. I'm sure some of them hadn't seen each other in quite some time with COVID and everything, so there were a lot of people there, and I think they really enjoyed the day. June 20th, Committee of the Whole, we were all here. June 21st, the RRPD regular meeting. We did get our financials for a number of months because we were a little behind with the illness of one of the staff there, and Derek did give a very brief update on the refresh of the zoning bylaws, and I guess we're going to be on his hit list pretty soon because he is making arrangements to meet for the second round with some of the municipalities. I think he was meeting with West St. Paul and St. Andrews, if I remember correctly, so our turn is coming for that. So if there's anything in that zoning bylaw that we need to discuss, we better make sure that we have everything when he comes the next time. June 24th, the Manitoba Highland Gathering, there was a lot of displays. The dignitaries were all piped in, and we walked from the main doors of the hall. We walked around the outside of the building to the back doors to the arena, and then straight in through the arena. So it was quite a walk, and the RCMP pipe band piped us in. So it was kind of nice. It's a little bit different. So And I thought it was well attended when we were there. There was a fair number of people there. I don't know what it was like on Sunday, so
Sunday was busier.
it was busier, eh? Okay, so, yeah, that's good. And then yesterday, we had a RRPD special meeting, and it was just to deal with one thing, and that was to accept the final audited financial statement, which some of the municipalities need to submit their their information for the audited financial statement, so, and that's all I have. Mr. CAO.
Thank you, Linda. So, I have a report for June 27th that I can share. And start with the solid waste and recycling bylaw, the curbside bylaw that we as before, for collection of recycling and waste has been adopted by council, will be enacted as of July 1st. Information has been provided. We provided on our website. We provided additional details. I shared some of those with council earlier this week, and we're providing details related to the new bylaw and operational changes proposed also at our transfer stations as individuals come back. And the other is the daycare project in East Selkirk. Construction of the daycare building continues to be in good pace. And as mentioned, we're expecting substantial completion by early August. Standard lease agreement with Hand in Hand daycare provider has been shared with them, and an initial review of the responsibilities and obligations has been discussed, some of which I'll discuss with council in camera as it is the lease agreement. A joint announcement with the province and the federal government and all municipalities in the first phase is being planned for July. The project continues to be on budget. The curb stop connections. We are still awaiting municipal board approval for the local improvement district borrowing and expected soon, and then to talk about some of that with council today based on our latest communications. Municipal board has explained that they have significant workload issues and that they are working through this with them, and we are working through this with them. The contractor has begun installation of the curb stops, working from the southeast and progressing north. The contractor expects to complete all streets with the exception of Henderson Highway within the next 5 to 6 weeks and complete the project by October if weather conditions continue to be favorable. All provincial approvals for curb stops on Henderson Highway have been granted. It should be noted that the province is planning to do roadworks on Henderson Highway this year, and my understanding is that we're going to be going from the south and moving north, and as that has occurred, and because of that schedule, we are modifying our schedule for our contractor to begin. When they begin working on Henderson, they'll work from north going south. When doing curb stops to avoid any conflict with all this roadworks, the contractor has also been in contact with the residents and will continue to work with them on private installs without impacting our contract to the best of their abilities for these curb stop installs. Now, what the contractor's been doing is working about 4 days a week, making sure our curb stops are in. They shoot the area, and what they've been doing is they've been coming back on the 5th day to do those installs wherever they can. I've told them they need to stay within our timelines. There's a little bit of pushback because they said, well, you told us to contact these people. We'll discuss that more with you afterwards, but I'm telling them finish by October, and we'll continue to provide progress reports on this. They are looking at bringing in an additional crew as time permits, because people are busy everywhere these days. St. Clements Activity Center, project manager has been selected. The project manager will also be submitting the design build, and I can give you more updates on that today. Geotechnical reports completed during site improvements are going to inform the RFP process, and we've worked on this signage that we'll be sharing as well for the Investing in Canada Infrastructure project. Phase 2 of the Regional Water Waste Project has begun, which is $6.5 million, with $3.2 coming from the province of Manitoba, which I will discuss further today. Design for the decommissioning of the Lockport wastewater treatment plant are almost complete and will go to bid shortly. That was already funded through our existing funds, and so they're ready to proceed with that decommissioning and moving forward with that. As to the design for the construction of the water line for East Selkirk to Lockport is complete, and the only thing we're waiting for is municipal board approval for the 2.25, and it's getting dicey as we are hitting midsummer already. And I'll be discussing that a little further with you a little later. General meetings, of course, the COW meeting I was part of, the Eastern District AMM meeting that was mentioned earlier, the WMR, several meetings on the daycare throughout the month, as well as John Q. Built, curb stop project management meetings, as well as the library expansion meeting with the CAOs, which I'll be discussing later, and a hand-in-hand daycare on the lease agreement, and various general meetings with business operations. As I mentioned, I'd be providing regular updates on certain items and continue to expand that in my CAO report. So our monthly update for the fire department statistics for May showed 12 emergency-based calls in 3 out of the 3 fire departments, and you can see where those calls were, and we get into more detail when we get into year-end and mid-year reporting. As to the monthly update on bylaw enforcement, animal control was provided last time. I've got further updates on the rest of bylaw this time. So we had 7 complaints, 5 were issued as cautious, and the 2 were dealt as patrols. The breakdown of the complaints were dogs at large, basically. All set.
Question?
Go ahead.
Regarding the Lockport sewage plant, obviously that's a timing thing. Once the sewage starts flowing through our new pipes coming to the lagoon, that's when the plant gets decommissioned, or like how is that? You decommission the plant, the sewage starts coming through our new pipes into the lagoon that we push through?
Correct.
Like,
The timing would be that the new lift station gets put in, and then there'll be a testing period, and then basically you do a shut off, and just then the decommission, the rest of the decommissioning occurs. So the most important part is the lift station itself and the new pumps, and some of those, the lift station, all that will be done. The pumps have been ordered, but some pumps may not get here until next year, unfortunately. It's a supply chain issue of pumps everywhere,
So
including
we'll have to keep plugging away.
to some extent.
okay, what happened, yeah.
Yeah, which is a concern.
I thought we had one of those pumps you built, didn't we?
We had a pump that was for the existing, for the Donald lift station, which is going to go directly through as opposed to Lockport. So Lockport is gravity fed, and that goes into the treatment plant. And eventually that gravity fed, that entire pipe will then be pumped up as opposed to going into the treatment plant. The Donald lift station was low pressure, so it was supposed to go right through. And once the pipes were connected, we had some problems with the pump. We've been still struggling with it, and now the challenge is, what's the right solution? We continue to play around with this pump, which seems to be working, but there's been testing and we're still encountering some problems. Or do we just get the new lift station and we're done with it? But yes, that pump was to pump the low pressure from Donald lift station to the lagoon. The monthly update for the bylaw enforcement, number of shifts, they had 6. It's the reporting. ORV, off-road vehicles 3, noise 1, illegal parking 2, public contacts, they had over 18 public contacts, calls for service for 39. Of that illegal parking, there were warnings given out for 2 of them. And so that's some generic, and if you have some further questions on any of those types of questions, you can certainly fire up to me, and Tyler and I will attempt to make sure that we get further details if council is interested. Remember, my goal is to first go to this level, and then the hope is that we can then move to a process of supplying this information on our website on a regular basis, so people see what the progress is and our measurements as part of our communication plan associated with our strategic plan. Finance update, Payworks, this is also new this month. Payworks closed list of reporting has been updated now that you get all of the information. The year-to-date 2023 has been finalized as well for 2023. Closed list of accounts revised with payroll for Payworks up to date and provide the same detail for individual employees that were present before, now that we have it all fixed through Payworks. Financial statements have been prepared from January to May 31st, following up on the bylaws, mooring bylaws, and the audit. And it's, I'll give you some updates on that, just the discussions with our municipal board. Discussions with provincial staff on establishing a TIF that we're looking at, as well as discussions have occurred with Uniware about setting up a curbside process in the utility system and the training, because we have to have that ready for September. And special projects update, South St. Clements Activity Center, as you know, that's the project management selected, contract sent to the project manager, electrical vehicle charges, which you saw today, decision making from councils come forward, trailer park licenses fees, gathering information from other municipalities, we'll look at trailer park licensing, and what are the other municipalities, and what are the trends out there. The capital development levies, working on the draft of the bylaw for council review and adoption in August. So that's, we've had some discussions on some of those capital development levies, especially related to the water, and update sheet on what's happening there as well. And E, which is purchasing policy, a new policy and framework is being developed based on the auditor's report that was identified, so that that'll be going forward for council's approval, as well as the development agreement template. Internal meetings are being coordinated so that we can finish up on the development agreement template and begin to utilize our development handbook for our ratepayers as a checklist. So that's my update, council members.
Any questions for Deepak on his update? Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
So, hypothetically then, we have two projects that are likely not going to get done this year because one has a supply chain issue and the other one has a lack of urgency issue on the municipal board's part.
Correct.
See, I guess I'm going to make a statement and then we'll see what the rest of the council thinks. Probably we missed an opportunity to pass a resolution at the June district meeting to have AMM start lobbying the government to have the municipal board actually have the right horses in place for the level of duties that the province has given them. Because that seems what the problem is.
Correct.
But I guess at this point in time, I'm still not sure that it isn't such a bad idea to write a letter to AMM and ask them to lobby the government to get the municipal board, whatever it is, funded, resourced correctly, so we're not in this problem. Because in the end, it's going to cost us more money. It's going to cost the RM of St. Clements more money. Because if hypothetically it happens the way we think it is, so if it gets put off to next year, it goes up 10% more. Water Services Board will probably cover their 5%. They
Not
won't.
on this project, it was on the basket funding,
Okay.
and there is no 10% increase.
So that means the Arvis Implements has to eat 10% more on a project because a provincial government regulated board isn't able to do their job. Am I characterizing this correctly?
Are not able to do
Let's
their
go
job
back,
due
let's
to
go
the
back.
resources they have available.
Well, let's go back a minute, okay? We worked our butts off to get this done back in, what was it, March? And did a very good job, in my opinion, of ensuring that we did the right communications. We had zero, 0 communications with the province. We had zero communications with the municipal board. We had zero communications with the persons against both borrowing bylaws. And we're sitting here waiting and probably losing a year of construction time.
Correct.
10% on how much money? 3 million? It's
Well, it'd be
$300,000.
6.5, but all
It
of
would be
it goes
4
out.
point,
4 point? Call
uh,
it 5, just for an easy math.
2.25 is our, so 4.5 million. 10% of 4.5 million.
So 100, that's a $500,000
$500,000 bucks.
Send them a bill.
Well, I guess at voting time, we'll find out what the difference is.
Municipal board is not voted in.
No, I mean government.
No, but I don't even really think that this is the municipal board's fault per se. Like, they are funded by the province, are they not?
They're funded by the province.
So if the province, the municipal board is in the same spot we are. The expectation level is huge and the funding is small. And that's the problem we're having.
That's a lot of snap. Ooh.
It's pretty disappointing, actually, is what it is.
Beats the hell out of my 2%.
Because I know this is history, but I know I've been in this position before, and we had an approval in a month. Because generally, if you did your homework, which you guys did, you even consulted with them to make sure the bylaw is correct, and nobody comes back and objects, it's like a month and you've got your approval.
The local improvement district, we had, we went over and above a number of meetings with residents and everywhere else, and we had 0 objections. The borrowing authority, we had 0 objections, and we went through additional communication as we could. Unfortunately, I think we can discuss that. There is a solution, risky solution, that I wanted to discuss with council, that I was on the phone with the Manitoba Water Services Board all morning today.
Pretty sad.
And this is something I would like to discuss with council for future budget planning. I think the challenge is, when we're waiting till March for the province to pass their budget, because they're a fiscal budget cycle. So we make requests for these types of grants that we can't make a decision on until after the province passes their March budget. Then we go out and do the borrowing bylaws and so forth. And sometimes we get them started a little sooner, but none of that can happen until the province gives their support. Because then, and what tends to happen is that takes you well into June. We are at everywhere I work. Not that there's been that many locations, but my experience has been, the challenge has always been to get your tenders out at the beginning of the year to get the best advantage. And yet, due to the current budgeting cycles, it continues to be a problem. So this morning, as I was discussing these discussions with the Water Services Board as to what we could do to hasten this process, I did think of something that I'd like to discuss with council, which is maybe that some of these projects where we've made the request for funding for projects, that we move forward in late fall for the borrowing authority. And so we go and get our borrowing authority well in advance, and if worst case, we can cancel borrowing authority if we don't get the 50% funding from the municipal board on those projects, but at least we're ready and prepared. Because right now, having to get it after the fact continues to do further delays. Perfect example, no problems with proceeding with the Henderson sewer decommissioning because we had cash. If we were already certified ability to borrow, they would have been able to proceed a little faster than we are. and that's where we're sitting. So that does take certain rethinking of how we do our budgeting process, but I'd like to discuss that further with you.
Okay, anything else in your report or any other questions?
I did step down from the circle.
Heather, do you have anything that you would like to share with us today? Okay, then I think we should go in camera and then we can have a 5-minute break before we move forward.
Resolve that council recess the regular meeting, go into in-camera to discuss legal and personnel issues, and be it further resolved that all matters discussed are to remain confidential as per section 83(1)(d) of the municipal act.
And we'll replace Councillor Bazarovich, Councillor Horvis seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, call the question. All those in favor, opposed, carried.
I need to straighten up.
Sorry, I think that needed to be.
No, I
on
expected
the
you,
record.
I expected it, and it needs to be on the record. I think the problem here is that we are running into some significant challenges. Municipal board is supported by one person for municipal relations.
Well, but that's the problem.
And then last week,